Hello, YouTube. We're having a few technical difficulties. YouTube have put me on the new control room, and it's really confusing. It's not something I'm used to using. I'm just hoping that we are live. Are we live? It's saying that we're not live. Hold on, let me. It says that we're offline. Oh, we are live. Cool. The new YouTube live dashboard doesn't actually pick the stream up as being live. That's why the issue. So on the new control room, which is YouTube's new live experience, they've got a new YouTube studio. Doesn't actually pick the stream up, whereas the old control room, which I'm looking at now, does. So we are live, we're back, we're on YouTube, and it's time for another episode of Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health. We've gone down to every 2 weeks, so don't worry if you missed the one that was last week rather, because there wasn't one. We're now every 2 weeks, and that is because, especially during these times, week on week it's kind of the same, and there's not really much to talk about, and the conversation feels a little dry, it's not very fresh, and obviously I want to be providing good content, and stuff that you're actually going to like, and hopefully find helpful. At the end of the day, that's why I do this, because it helps you, and also, you know, being open, talking about my own mental health helps me as well, which is quite nice. So today is another episode of Mental Monday, and that means for the next half an hour we are having an unscripted conversation about mental health. And by unscripted, there is no script. I have no pointers. I normally go by what you say in the chat. If there's not much conversation, which there normally isn't, I will talk about how I am. This is just my space, really, to talk about mental health. So, yeah, welcome. Come on in. I normally kind of stretch out the introduction just so we're able to let people join. But once people have started joining, about 3-4 minutes in, I'll get into how the week and now how 2 weeks have been. And, yeah. How has your week been? Do let me know. Do say hello in the chat. I do have it up so I can see what you're doing. Also, you can reach out to me on my Twitter as well. The Twitter is @JakeSWrites, which should be somewhere I can just actually put it in chat, which is probably the easiest thing to do. So you can click on that and you can come and say hello, which would be really appreciated. I've also got the my mental health link in my bio now, which wasn't going to my mental health page originally. I'm kind of having a bit of a refurb of the site, mental health blog wise, so it's kind of all over the place at the moment, because I started putting my marketing, which is the day job content, and I started putting that into my mental health blog, and now I'm thinking of taking it out and putting it on a separate website, which is I'm still working out what the best way of housing it, because originally my mental health content was separate from me, because my mental health content was on it was on Stay Swimming, which was my old blog, and then I put it on my site, and now I'm thinking of putting my marketing content, which also is on my site, on another site, and keeping my mental health content and personal stuff on my own site, which I guess could be a mixture of both then, if I've got, this is my personal site, and then this is my kind of business side, on a different, it's definitely something that is in progress. And yeah, so how has the week been? For me, it's been alright. I've been busy. I've been redesigning the website and setting up a new one, which has been fun. So lots to do there. Still actually trying to get the hosting sorted for it, because I've decided to go with content rather than hosting, just to kind of commit myself before paying for hosting. I want to actually, you know, this is the content, I'm committed to getting the site up and setting up a new Instagram account as well, which we've got about 100 followers in 14 days, which, yeah, it's about average really, isn't it? So nothing too special there. But yeah, it's just been a mixture of that, mixture of playing a few games, Fortnite, that kind of stuff. Not really much happened. It's kind of, because technically Nan's in the shielding category, so until I effectively move out, I'm kind of on the shielding rules. So, on the shielding rules, there is no, going out to the pub, etc. So the hair remains. The hair remains. Unfortunately, I posted on my Instagram account the other day. It's getting long. This is probably the longest I've ever had my hair. It's not long enough to tie back, and it's also not long enough to throw over. So it kind of just does its thing. Hopefully when I move out, that can get done. But we will see what happens. How soon that will be. Obviously, money is a bit tight with the economy kind of crashing around us. So, that's kind of my week, really. Not much has happened. But yeah, how's your week been, really? From a mental health point, I'd say it was about average. Kind of mainly just normality, I guess. This kind of new normal. The daily grind. Not really many low moments, but then there wasn't really any high ones either. It was just kind of neutral, really. So bit of a dull 2 weeks. Interesting though. Got a lot done, but just trying to actually process how I'm feeling. I've gone through some of my older mental health blogs, and one of the ones I was doing today was the free writing one, which is the first one I've written, because I've got through to the end of it now. And it's kind of bit odd thinking about mental health, because it's kind of been a while since I felt either way. Everything's kind of getting the same, really, in terms of feelings. So there's not really any moments, either good or bad, that actually have some kind of emotion or some value to talk about, which kind of makes this a dull week to actually be on camera and try and talk about mental health when not really much has happened at all. But yeah, still good to come on, always every other week now. On Monday we are back for Mental Monday. The clock behind me is wrong. I've just been staring at that, and if you are too, it is wrong. It's not yours. It's definitely mine. It's broken. Needs a new battery. But yeah, one of the things I probably should mention, excuse me, is the self-care challenge. And I was meant to be doing this as a YouTube series, and it just kind of never. It kind of did start to come out as a YouTube series, but never really did anything. I was thinking of doing a blog series on it, because I've still got all the old YouTube scripts, which would make pretty good blog posts once they're kind of adapted. But yeah, that's something else I might do. Self-care challenge is where every day for 7 days it's about taking that time for yourself. Probably, we're all inside. Some of it's not applicable if you're shielding. Other things, aren't applicable anyway, such as, going around your mates, etc. And some of it doesn't really work anyway, because, taking a kind of chill moment for yourself, you're doing that, like, all the time. If you're at home and, you're kind of alone and depressed, and, like, that's kind of every day. There's not really much, like, saying, ooh, take some time for yourself, and stuff like that. I mean, everyone is, to some degree, having a bit more isolation and time to themselves. So, yeah, I'm still deciding if it's the right time or not to make it, because some of it would need to be adapted. But yeah, that's something else potentially. From a kind of your mental health perspective, how are you getting on with lockdown? Are you off rushing out to the pub and getting drunk? There was a wonderful picture on the news yesterday where they were talking about like the lows of lockdown, and there was just some woman throwing up in the street, which was nice, and everyone's probably got a really bad hangover from the sudden alcohol kind of influx after months on end. Unfortunately, I haven't been to the pub yet, and probably won't be going. I'm kind of being a little more cautious, I guess. If I wasn't here shielding, then I probably still would be a bit cautious. Just because you can't control other people. So when you're like in that environment, someone comes up to you and starts, getting a bit drunk and rowdy, you can't like force them to social distance. You kind of just have to back away into a corner and head for the exit. But you that's one of the things, I guess, is the worry. And this has been mentioned by, I believe, Mental Health Foundation and a few others. It's kind of the worry of what other people will do and if they'll follow the rules. And I guess that's a kind of real anxiety of mine anyway, because, you don't know what other people will do and you can't control it. And if they suddenly, even out on the street, suddenly, come up towards you or don't stay, their distance, I mean, they say that for that kind of short amount of time, it won't do anything, but I guess the anxiety is still there, and that's definitely something I'm not going to be looking forward to when I eventually emerge from this hibernation. Is having to look at everyone else and kind of gauge distance, and who's got their mask on the train, etc. And stuff like that is it's not going to be the best fun. But yeah. Just wait and see if you've got anything to say, really. We've got about half an hour left, although I normally end around the 20-minute mark if the conversation kind of dries out. Which it probably is. It's kind of the last couple of episodes of this have only been 20 minutes. I mean, if every day is the same, there's not really much happening. It's kind of, you're in that situation where you can't force things to talk about. So I don't want to sit here and try and force it. But if you do want to say anything, now would be the time to actually say something. And say hello and how are you, and just this is your time effectively, and I'm here to just kind of give my thoughts on what you say in the chat. That's the idea of it, although it's mainly me just giving my thoughts anyway. But yeah, that's kind of what we do here. So anyway, how is getting back to normal in general? I haven't experienced that yet. I'm kind of mixed. I mean, I don't go out that often, but I feel like eventually when I do start emerging, I don't think I'm going to have that much of an issue, apart from what I've just mentioned about, everyone else keeping their distance. I don't think I'll have that much of an issue with it. I know there's a lot of people anxious about re-emerging and seeing everything different and all the cues, etc. Yeah, I don't know. That's not something I've really thought about, had too much anxiety about. There's definitely a lot of mixed, lot of negative feelings out there. I normally gauge the mental health community by blogs and Twitter, which aren't the most reliable sources, but kind of the feeling is as we emerge back into normal, it's kind of the anxiety of like, you know, everything looking different, people in masks, you know, actually remembering and doing things we haven't done for so long. I don't know. I don't think that really applies to me. I think I'll just get on with it, to be honest. But yeah, certainly something that can be a real worry for people. And yeah. Anyway, there's no mental health events either to talk about, because before we were talking about like Mental Health Awareness Week, Eating Disorders Awareness Week, etc. The next Mental Health Day is in October, that I do. There's Suicide Prevention Day, which is in September, but we don't do that because obviously it's quite triggering and you can't really talk about that in a non-triggering way. I mean, I would love to get involved and write something and get into it, but the worry is always someone will read your blog post and be triggered and do something, and that kind of is not great, and I don't have any way of stopping people who may be triggered by it from reading the content or, you know, sharing it to someone who might get triggered. That it gets very very kind of messy, I guess. I try and keep my blog as non-triggering as possible, although there will be occasions where it's unavoidable. But I do try my best, and yeah, I haven't actually come up with a way of talking about that in a non-triggering way, and that's why it's not done. But so the next Mental Health Day is World Mental Health Day on the 10th of October. I've no idea what I'm going to do. I normally have Mental Health Awareness Week planned out by like February, and then the content written across March, and everything's done by kind of mid-April. For May, yeah, I know I do it a month in advance because there's a lot that goes into it, and it's important to like get everything done on time with like actual work, because talking about mental health all day while I'd love to do it isn't the day job. So kind of fitting everything in around work, because I still have to make an income, is difficult but doable. So I'm kind of going to think about it in maybe September. It is only the one day, so I probably will do a kind of blog post, maybe a video, but I have no idea. So suggest me your ideas, please. Ideas for World Mental Health Day in October. The content will come out. I'll start making it in September. So I've got the rest of this month and all of August to go to come up with an idea of how we can actually celebrate, I guess, mental health awareness, World Mental Health Day. What I really want to do on the blog and what I really want to do on Twitter is I want to share other mental health bloggers, and I've kind of done some blog posts on kind of how to start a mental health blog yourself, etc. And I feel like I was 16 when I started this blog, and in the last 2 years it's kind of gone from a hobby to something that I actually, you know, throw myself into. Being a kind of marketer, writer actually does help a lot though, but I feel like there's other people with mental health blogs that are maybe smaller and don't get that much attention, and I want to kind of use the platform that I've built on Twitter especially, which is kind of the biggest here even, or on my website directly, and maybe that would be a good time to show people, kind of showcase some mental health blogs, and yeah, I think that would be quite cool. I don't know how that would work in practice. It's definitely something I'd have to talk to a few people about and see what their ideas are. But yeah, I would love to do something like that. if you guys felt that was helpful, if you wanted to contribute your blog, then just say hello. Do let me know. You can do that on Twitter or on my website, which is that. I should not have done it. I've just done it in chat, but it's pulled my name out of my URL. Yeah, but that is my website. If you copy it with the hyphen, it will redirect. The hyphen does work. I brought up a lot of variations of my name because I don't want people like parking there and like stealing people, especially with mental health. You know, you could go to some really dodgy places, so always important. And there we go. We're about 20 minutes in. That's pretty much everything to talk about, really, from my side. You've been a bit quiet in the chat, which is, you know, understandable. We're all getting a bit fed up of lockdown and hearing the same things over and over again. So on that note, I am going to leave the stream. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending your kind of Monday evening with me, here in the UK anyway. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health. Thanks, everyone.